As per usual, we are starting with a cup of tea. Welcome back, guys, to my channel. Mike here again, and this is my April wrap-up. And I had a lovely reading month this month. Not only did I get through 4 books, which is quite a lot for me, and I'm already on to the 5th, and April's nearly finished. There's today and tomorrow to go. But I really enjoyed each of the books that I read, for very different reasons, and I just thoroughly enjoyed them. I'm just going to jump straight in. We go from crime at 9 to a bit of sci-fi to some teenage angst. This video has got it all. That's not even the books. The first one I read this month is Let Me Lie by Claire Mackintosh, thriller, and it's about a girl called Anna. Her mum has committed suicide a year ago, and that is 6 months after her father committed suicide. And it's the year anniversary of her mum's death, and Anna gets a note through the door. It's a card, like I think it's an anniversary card, and it says, "Suicide, think again." So Anna goes to the police station and she tries to get the case reopened, and she meets a really cool older policeman who used to be a detective, but he's not a detective anymore. What's his name? Oh no. You know what I'm like with names. Murray? Is his name Murray? Oh, I'm gonna have to find out, bear with. You can tell I don't do any sort of thinking before I start making my videos, don't you? When does she go to see him? I'm pretty sure it's Murray, guys. Yeah, Murray. Oh, it's just names don't sit well with me. So she goes to see Murray, and he's not a detective anymore. He works in the front desk. He's a civilian police officer, and he decides that he's going to look at the information of the case because the police are so stretched as they are. And so he looks into it and he starts gathering information. He sort of starts building the case up as to whether these suicides are what they were deemed to have been. And it's a thriller. It's crime at 9, and it was a very easy read, but also it really kept me entertained. A lot of twisty bits, and that's why I'm not going to tell you anything more about the plot, because to go further than that sort of would ruin certain aspects for you. But a good cast of characters who, despite the name thing just now, I had no problem in remembering and thinking about, and I really enjoyed this. I can see this being adapted for like a BBC Crime at 9. I can very, very easily. It's made me want to read more of Claire Mackintosh's stuff, which is great, because now I have a new author to follow. But it was just a really easy read. It gripped me, and there were twists. There are quite a few twists. It's not just like the one twist. There's quite a few developments in the story, and you think, oh gosh, I have to keep on going, I can't stop now. So that was really good. I really liked it, and I do recommend it. It says here, the police say it was suicide, Anna says it was murder. They're both wrong. That'll do. So I went from Crime at 9 to something very different. This is a Doctor Who novel. It's a Target novel, my first ever Doctor Who novel, actually. This is Rose by Russell T Davies, and this is an adaptation of his first ever episode, Rose, from back in 2005. And it follows Rose Tyler in London, who works in a shop, and she just is going about her life. She's got a boyfriend, and she's normal, a normal 19-year-old but she wants more from her life, and she does want more. You can tell that from these pages. And she stumbles upon an invasion by the Autons, and the Autons are plastic, living plastic, and they can make other plastic things come to life. So you see them in the show, it was mannequins. In this it is mannequins, but it's more than mannequins in this book. This was a joy to read. I loved every single second of it. Not only because it's Doctor Who and I love Doctor Who, because this is my first ever Doctor Who novel. It could have gone terribly wrong, because I've seen Rose millions of times and I know the story of Rose, so what was I to gain from reading this? And you're probably thinking the same thing. Well, let me tell you something now for nothing. I did gain quite a bit from this. I had so much fun. It was such a pleasure to read. Not only because it was the story and it didn't have a budget like TV had a budget, so it did feel a bit bigger. There's a larger cast in this, so there are other characters that were not in the episode, because, you know, you've got to think TV has its constraints, and in a book it's just your imagination. So what Russell T Davies does is he has a slightly larger cast who go through their own sort of subplot, nothing too major that interrupts or changes what happened in Rose the TV show, but still it just adds to it. It adds to the danger of the Auton invasion across London. There are some awesome little kind of, I'm going to call them Easter eggs, because I'll give you one example without ruining too much about it, because I think that you should go read this, especially if you do like Doctor Who. When Rose first was broadcast back in 2005, the BBC had a bit of a technical error, and when Rose was in the basement of the shop that she worked in, looking for the caretaker to give the lottery money to, the BBC accidentally had the voice of Graham Norton over the top of it. I think that he was doing some sort of live show, and it kind of they just crossed over. So what Russell did in this book, which is amazing, was when Rose is downstairs in looking for the caretaker again to give the lottery money to, she hears a radio from another room, and it's got an Irish comedian speaking, and I just thought that was brilliant, because it's an actual nod to something that genuinely happened post writing Rose and post filming Rose, but he managed to get it in here. There are also some fantastic little cameos from other characters. We're not going to name them, we're not going to mention them, because I want you to read this and just discover them and enjoy them for yourself. But it genuinely was such a pleasure, and it whet my appetite so much for these Doctor Who novels that I've bought several more. I have talked about them though in my book haul for April, which I will link below. So yeah, I gave this 5 stars on my Goodreads, which is also linked below, and I think part of the reason I give it 5 stars was because it might be more emotional, like, to me personally, than perhaps it being, you know, the best book ever written. But it's written really well, and yeah, I just loved it. I did, so yay for that. And on the back of reading that, I was in such a space mood, and I was even watching Lost in Space on Netflix, which is fab, by the way. If you haven't watched it, please give it a go. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But on the back of reading Rose and loving it so much, I just jumped straight into this bad boy, which is The Day of the Doctor. This is written by Stephen Moffatt, and this is the adaptation of the 50th anniversary, which I love anyway. So this was like, this is another test. I thought this is another test now of the Doctor Who novel, and whether I'm a Doctor Who novel kind of guy or not. Because I love the show. I mean, I don't know, you probably can't see behind me, but that there, ooh, I can't do it backwards. That there is the Lego TARDIS. I'll take a shot for you now and I'll insert it here, it's fine. So big Doctor Who fan over here, and so I thought, you know what, we'll give this one a go, because if I love Rose so much, is that because I love Russell T Davies and his writing and his style so much? Is it because I love Doctor Who? Maybe this will be a really good test to see if I can go on reading Doctor Who novels, despite the fact that I've already bought a bunch to read. And it was a quick and easy, lovely read too. Jump straight into this. And this is just classic Stephen Moffatt, because it's written so differently to Rose. It's like reading, it's bizarre because it's still Doctor Who, even though there are different doctors, different companions, different villains in it. It's still Doctor Who, but it's written so different by a completely different person, different style, different format. Yeah, it's just so. It surprised me how different it could be, but it's still Doctor Who. So this is an adaptation of the 50th anniversary, which combines, well, it's Matt Smith's Doctor, David Tennant's Doctor, and John Hurt's War Doctor, and they're the main ones, and they go through what happens in the 50th anniversary. Ooh, I fell over that. What happens in the 50th anniversary, which is a Zygon invasion of Earth. So yeah, it's about that, and I adored my experience of reading this. Just as much as I loved Rose. I couldn't decide between the two. There's no way. I also gave this 5 stars on Goodreads. But for a different reason, this... So, for example, classic Stephen Moffatt. If you're a Doctor Who fan, you know what I'm saying. But the contents, which I don't know if you're going to be able to see here, but they're not in order, okay? The chapters. It's Chapter 8, The Night of the Doctor. Chapter 11, The Flight of the Doctor. Chapter 1, Chapter 10, Chapter 12, it jumps through, and I'm gonna put a little theory out here if you've read this, and this isn't a spoiler, but chapter 9 is missing. Okay, chapter 8 is the Night of the Doctor, which is about the 8th Doctor. Then chapter 11, we start with the 11th Doctor, so there's a bit of a theme here. Then chapter 10 is called The Love of the Doctor, and that talks about that's David Tennant's entrance into the story. So there is a certain subtle theme going on here. Chapter 9 is missing, and it does say there is a dedication at the front which says, "In memory of Sir John Hurt, who saved the day." So I'm going to go out on a not so precarious limb and suggest that Stephen Moffat's having a little bit of a pop here, Christopher Eccleston, because I do, from what I know about the original script, The Day of the Doctor, it was written to have the 9th Doctor be the War Doctor, which became the War Doctor, and he pulled out. So he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. He did it, he's done it, he's moved on, whatever. But he isn't in it. And throughout this book, there is a little bit of a continuous little pop at the 9th Doctor not being present in the bulk of the story, the main story. So there's a bit catty, but it's also timey-wimey in classic Moffatt style. It jumps around the place, and there are little insertions in between each chapter, which is the Doctor communicating with the reader via psychic paper. So this book is supposedly psychic paper. Loved them. They made me laugh, I have to say. And yeah, so I'm not going to say too much more about this because, again, I thought, what else am I going to learn about the Day of the Doctor that I haven't learned from seeing it? But how wrong was I? Because I loved my experience reading it. I felt like I learnt more about, I had just got more information. I just got given more information. And he also had some little Easter eggs too. The 9th Doctor thing being one, but some other kind of future/past enemies of the Doctor and or incarnations. So yeah, it was really, really, really good, and I recommend this highly. So I'm very pleased to jump into the Doctor Who novelisation, and because they're so short as well, I am just loving my life, and I can't wait to read the next one I'm going to read. But I don't know whether to go for the Christmas Invasion, because I know the story already, and I'm hoping to gain just like more from it again, or whether to go to a Doctor that I don't know and see if the love is still there. So interesting, but that's for another video. So the next book I jumped into then, the 4th book of the month, I did actually finish this too, is Love, Simon, or the Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda by Becky Albertalli, which is out in the cinema at the moment. I really enjoyed this book too. It's about Simon and his group of friends in high school in America, and he is hiding his sexual identity, and they have this sort of Tumblr account for the school. It's called Creek Secrets, and all the gossip from the school gets posted on Creek Secrets, and Simon reads a post by somebody else saying that he's gay. Not Simon, this other person is gay. So Simon emails him anonymously, and they start a conversation via email, and they start a relationship via email, and they're in the same school, in the same classes, but Simon doesn't know who it is, so Simon's trying to figure out who this mystery man is. And there's a kind of subplot that Simon's being blackmailed by another member of the class because he has seen these emails, so he kind of threatens to out him, because he wants to get with a girl, and this was a lovely read. The film, I saw the film first, and then I read the book, and most of the time I love the book more than I love the film. And I thoroughly enjoyed thoroughly enjoyed reading this book. It was a lovely, easy read, very quick. I like the format of, you read the emails, so you kind of read Simon being his sort of flirty kind of, how can I put it? He's thought about what he said and deleted it and put it back in, and he's written, so Simon has written these emails. But you also then are in Simon's head for the rest of the book, and that's more his kind of raw thoughts, feelings and emotions that are coming to the forefront straight away. And I really liked both those things, because you got to see calculated emails where he wants to come off cool and flirty, and he wants to be liked by this mystery man, but then you get to see him being a bit of a goofball throughout the rest of his mind. So no, that it was a lovely read. And I did say that normally I love the books more than I love the film. I think I preferred the film, but that's not a reflection on the book being bad at all, because this book is really good and lovely, and it's just a nice read. And I'm really looking forward to reading the next in the series, which is about Leah, his best friend, who I think I identified with quite a lot in this book too. And that's the thing, you know, this is about coming out, and it made me think about my gay story. And I think I'm really glad that this book exists and this film exists now for teenagers who are going through what Simon is going through. And it made me realise as well that, you know, when you're gay, if you're watching this and you're gay, you'll know, but if you don't, you won't know, but you'll understand what I mean when I say this. When you're gay, you have to come out all the time. You don't just come out the once, and it's a big, everyone in the world knows now, and you know, your parents are the biggest one, I guess, and your family, and then your closest friends, and then it spreads out. But as you move through your life, you have to come out to everybody that you meet. And it's a little bit exhausting in a way, I have to say, because this weekend was my auntie's wedding. And sorry, I'm gone off on a tangent, but I'm going to tell you, it was my auntie's wedding, and I was taking the photos, so everyone else had gone into the church, and I was waiting for the bride to arrive. And I was speaking to two people who were kind of working the ceremony at the church, and I've known them for donkey's years, because I used to go to Sunday school, and they worked the church then. Worked the church, you know what I mean? They were there giving the programmes out. The programmes. This isn't the theatre. You know, the order of service. And they would do the collections, and they would show you where to go and that kind of thing. And I knew them from way back when in the day. And I was talking to them outside the church because we were waiting. And the gentleman asked me, so am I married? And I was like, no. All right, so you're a bachelor. And I was just like, no. My partner's inside, we've been together for 10 years. I said he's inside, and we've been together 10 years. And there was a bit of a flutter in the conversation then, where it kind of paused and stopped, and he had to kind of realise he was talking to a homosexual. And there was no judgment. We then carried on the conversation. He wasn't a nasty man or anything. It was perfectly fine afterwards and just normal. But it made me think that coming out is quite a big deal, especially if you're a teenager and you know you're gay. Because I was a teenager and I knew I was gay, but I didn't come out until quite late in my teens. But Simon is young, he's 17 and he's coming out. So the story obviously resonated with me because I had to come out, and I identified with a lot he went through, a lot of the emotions, the email relationships. I understood, I completely got it. So, but I'm really glad that it's getting the kind of the mainstream attention that it is getting, because it's worth it. The film I loved, and I cannot wait to buy it when it comes out, and I will be watching it again and again and again. The book was great, and I probably will read it again in years to come, to be honest, because I quite liked it. But for me, the film, you know, it was the actors, the music, the editing, it all worked really well for me, and so I did prefer the film, just for my preference, but the book was really, really good. Yeah, so it's a good read, guys. Nice quick read. So just because we're still in April, guys, and I have started a new book. This is my currently reading, but it's fine. This is Krysten Ritter's Bonfire, and it's Krysten Ritter is Jessica Jones from Marvel and Netflix. Jessica Jones, and it's a kind of thriller. It's a thriller. A girl goes back to her hometown in America after leaving 10 years ago because she is a lawyer now and she's representing somebody for something. And she goes back, and things from the past kind of wake up, and whatever she's been buried and tried to run away from her past keeps clawing her back. So she's gone back to face the music, essentially. No, but so far, I'm only like 3 or 4 chapters in, and I am enjoying. I'm enjoying. Her style of writing is very much it's kind of like I can hear the character Jessica Jones from the TV show speaking as this girl is thinking. So I'm kind of reading it. I can imagine her voice. So that's good, I guess. Yeah, but I'm enjoying. So that was my April wrap-up. I'm sorry I've spoken for so long. I will try and edit the shit out of this so it's a little bit shorter. What did you guys read in April? Did you have a successful month? Did you have a not so successful month? What did you read? What did you like? What didn't you like? Have you read these books? Tell me if you've read them, what you thought, because I'm loving having the conversations downstairs. I'm loving having the conversations downstairs in the comments about these books. Thoroughly enjoying it. I'm quite interested to hear about the guys who have read the Doctor Who novels, if you have, because that's a bit different, and I understand it's kind of niche, but you know, I'd like to hear what you guys think of that. Yeah, I'm guessing lots of you have probably read Love, Simon, so let's have a chat about that too. I'm wondering whether to do a video actually, you know, the gay video. I might. But I'm going to sign off now. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you all soon. Okay, bye. Oh my god, I'm boiling.